everyone, this is PotatoLegion here. I hope you are keeping very well. Are you the sort of player that struggles to figure out which killer you want to try to main? Well, I have the video for you. We're going to cover every single killer in the game and give them 4 ratings out of 5 stars. We'll be starting off with the strength category, which is going to be how strong the killer actually is. So how well they perform against an average group of survivors, how strong their power is, all those sorts of things that you would expect from an average tier list. The next is the skill ceiling. How far can you actually take this killer in terms of skill? Not every single killer is really hard to play. For example, Legion is quite easy to use, whereas the Hillbilly is insanely hard to use. So there's a bigger skill ceiling between the two killers. Now let's get into versatility. How well can this killer mix up different play styles, use different perks, and their add-on synergy as well? So that's their overall versatility. And then the last rating is going to be the overall fun of that killer based on the previous 3 categories. Looking forward to reading your comments. If you completely disagree with a rating, please leave your rating in the comments below. Enjoy the video, gamers. Take care. Peace out. Let's start off with our first iconic killer, the Trapper. I have given the Trapper a strength rating of 1. I've given him a skill ceiling of 3 stars, versatility 3 stars, and overall fun 3 stars. Now, the Trapper is a very weak killer. His ability is easily countered by survivors and is very situational. He has to spend a long time setting up his traps. He doesn't start off with all of his traps unless you bring an add-on. So he has to spend the trial running around the map trying to get his traps. The time you've set up your traps, you've probably lost 2 to 3 gens already, and then you have to quickly catch survivors. Even if you do set up a trap in a 3-gen area, you still have to manually hit the survivors, and they can just hold down W and get away while the teammates smash out gens. He is a very weak killer indeed. Now, skill ceiling, I've put him at a 3 because you need to understand what the survivors' behavioral instincts are. Basically, immediately, you need to understand if these survivors are going to fall for the sort of traps where you can push them into, or if the survivors just hold down W and run through pallets and then they just run off. So you need to place traps on pallets and obvious windows. It's so difficult to predict where a survivor will run to, if they're going to loop correctly against you because they don't care about traps, or if they're going to be really scaredy cat and just hold that W. So you need to predict where they're going to go. Now, in terms of versatility, the Trapper has some great add-ons where you can completely change up your build, and there's so many different playstyles when it comes to the Trapper. You can play really aggressive and chase-orientated, which isn't that strong, or you can play over-the-top defensive. Now, Trapper is a fun killer in my opinion. That's why I've given him a 3 score out of 5. Overall, he's just very average. If you're the sort of player that likes to play in a very defensive playstyle and you feel like pushing survivors into your traps is very satisfying and you enjoy that reward, then he's going to be extremely fun for you. But just bear in mind, he's very weak. So if you don't enjoy losing, then you're probably going to get frustrated playing this killer at certain times because you're probably going to lose a lot more matches than, say, other killers. The Wraith. I have given the Wraith a strength of 3, a skill ceiling of 1, versatility 4, and an overall fun score of 3. Now, the Wraith is a very strong killer, very decent indeed. His invisibility makes him one of the best stealth killers in the game, and thanks to his general speed while cloaked, you can easily cover the map very quickly. So you should be in chase a lot of the time because you're going to catch survivors off guard a lot. Now, skill ceiling, there is literally nothing to the Wraith in terms of really using him. He's a very easy killer to pick up. That's why I've given him a skill ceiling of 1. All you need to do is hold down that right click when you get near a survivor and just understand how to be stealthy in general. Don't just immediately run at a survivor where they can see you. Try and be a little bit sneaky. hide behind certain tiles, and then catch people off guard. He's very, very easy to learn. Now, versatility is a 4 because of his add-on versatility. His add-ons do so many different things. You can bring an increased pallet kicking build, gen kicking build. You can bring a slow down healing build with the mangled effects that he can bring with his add-ons. You can bring a super stealthy build with the bone clapper or his add-on that hides his red stain when he comes out of cloak. You can bring an add-on that makes it so that while he's cloaked, he still has his tear radius. There's just so much versatility to the Wraith and what sort of playstyle you can go with. Now, an overall front score of 3, he again is a very average and fun killer in my opinion. He's really good at catching people off guard, and he is going to be very chase orientated. The reason why he doesn't get full marks is because I think his power is very basic, and based on his skill ceiling, there isn't much to the Wraith. So that's why he gets an overall score of 3. The Hillbilly, I have given a strength of 3, a skill ceiling of 5, a versatility of 4, and overall fun, I've actually given him a 5. The Hillbilly strength is a tricky one to put down an exact rating for because of his skill ceiling being the highest in the game. The most cracked, insane curving billies that can do all of these tricks would be insanely good and would probably be a strength of 4, potentially 5 in the right hands. But your average billy that plays the game is probably a strength of 3. A lot of survivors can counter him. There's a lot of good windows on certain maps and strong palettes that Billy can struggle with. Now, as I just mentioned, his skill ceiling is obviously 5 because of how hard he is to use. His power is very unforgiving. If you do make a mistake, you've lost a lot of time because you've bumped into something and you're wasting a lot of time. And to actually pull off certain curves, it's very hard to master. His versatility is a 4. He has some great add-ons that do different things. For example, like the Luck Bro chain that allows you to go through pallets. He's got quicker chainsaw add-ons, speed add-ons. He's got tear radius hiding add-ons. There's so much to Billy's add-ons that give him a lot of versatility and different build options. Overall fun though is a 5, and that's because of his skill ceiling. The better you're going to get with Billy, the more fun you're going to have with him, and he's a very rewarding killer once you master him. The Nurse. The Nurse has a strength of 5. Her skill ceiling is 4. Versatility is 4, and I've given her overall fun as 5. Now, Nurse is easily the strongest killer in the game. Her ability allows her to completely ignore all general looping rules, as she can blink and ignore windows and pallets through her teleportation. Now, her skill ceiling is a 4. It is not as high as Billy's in my opinion. I feel like picking up the Nurse isn't too difficult, and there are some aids that can help you with her add-ons showcasing where to blink. Nurse is all about muscle memory, and with some practice, you'll master her pretty quickly. Versatility is a 4. Her add-ons do some crazy things. You have different types of add-ons that you can bring. You can make it so you can only have 1 blink and can move slightly faster. You can bring add-ons that allow you to blink back to your old location. You've got add-ons that allow you to just double blink immediately. You've got add-ons to make it so that you can force mangled effect. There's so much you can do with the Nurse. It's absolutely insane. Her overall fun is a 5 because of how strong she is and your ability to teleport around the map and have some really strong games, and you can mix up her playstyle with her add-ons. I think overall she's a 5 and a very fun killer to play and pick up. Michael Myers, I have given him a strength of 1, a skill ceiling of 2, a versatility of 4, and an overall fun score of 4. Now, Myers is a very weak killer and is easily countered by survivors because he is just a basic M1 killer and has to follow all looping rules. Now, his skill ceiling is a 2, though you might be thinking it should be a 1 because he's quite easy to use and understand. With Myers, however, you need to know when to tier up correctly. A lot of Myers players makes the mistake of tiering up too soon. You need to be able to also assess the situation and know when to slug survivors and apply pressure. Because of how weak he is and you only have a limited amount of tier uses, you need a little bit of skill to pull off Myers. Versatility is a 4. His add-ons allow some crazy combinations. You can be scratched mirror Myers. You can bring add-ons to Mori people. There are so many things you can do with Myers. That's why he has a versatility score of 4. He has some great perk synergy as well, because his tier 3 allows him to vault faster and have a longer lunge. You can bring Coup de Grace, Bamboozle, you can bring Superior Anatomy. You can have some real fun with different Myers playstyles. Now this comes to the overall fun of Myers, which I've given a 4, even though his strength and skill ceiling is low. Because of how aggressive you have to play with him and your options to Mori survivors, there's a lot of fun you can have with him as well. And especially if you play Scratch Mirror Myers and bring a map offering, that is insanely fun to do as well. That's why I've given him an overall score of 4. The Hag. I've given the Hag a strength score of 4, a skill ceiling of 3, her versatility is 2, and her overall fun is 2. Now the Hag is an insanely strong killer. She can easily set up traps, and her goal is to push survivors towards her traps, instantly teleport and down them, and punish them to going to areas that she wants to defend. A lot of Hag players like to trap hooks as well, so even trying to save a teammate, you can be punished by a Hag for doing that, and then she has more pressure on the team. Skill ceiling I've given a 3. You need to understand where to place your traps, because now survivors can easily crouch and rub them away. Beforehand you couldn't do that, you had to rely on a flashlight, but now that survivors have the means to always remove traps, you need to be a little bit smarter on where you place traps. You can't be too obvious. Now her versatility is a 2. Her add-ons are a bit weird, but most of them do the same premise of basically helping you be better at placing down your traps and having more aura reading, having longer range, things like that. The reason why she gets a 2 versatility is because of her rare add-ons do different things, allowing you some different playstyles. Now her overall fun is 2. This is a huge opinionated opinion. I really do not like the Hag, because her playstyle is just to be very territorial, teleport and hit. Because she doesn't really have a lot of chase factor in her power, she's more about setup and teleportation. I don't find her as fun, but if you are a very defensive type person and you like killers like Trapper and Hag, you might find her enjoyable. The Doctor. I've given the Doctor a strength of 3, a skill ceiling of 3, a versatility of 5, and overall fun as 4. Now, the Doctor is a very unique killer, and he has to apply madness to everybody to get some huge effects out of his add-ons and power. His overall anti-loop is pretty decent, but he can easily be countered at most tiles, especially if it's a god palette or a very strong window. But he is a decent killer overall. He's very average in my opinion. His skill ceiling is a 3. It's not crazy hard to learn Doctor, but you need to know when to use your shock to block certain windows or palettes, and you need to be very good at predicting where the survivor is going to go, and you also need to be paying attention to where people scream. That's why he gets an average score of skill ceiling. It's not too hard to pick that up, it's just general game sense knowledge. Now, versatility I've given a 5. All of Doctor's add-ons do something unique and different, and this allows for some really unique playstyles. He has illusionary palettes, he can hide his red stain, he can increase his tear radius and then decrease his tear radius, allowing for some sneaky builds. There is so much you can do with the Doctor's power. And did I forget to mention that he can also change the shape of his zap as well, allowing different anti-loop styles as well. His overall fun score, I've given him a 4 because he can do a little bit of everything and he's constantly in chase, and making survivors scream and feeling very powerful is very fun and rewarding in my opinion. That's why he's got a score of 4 for overall fun. The Cannibal, I have given a strength of 2, a skill ceiling of 3, a versatility of 1, and overall fun a 3. Now, the Bubba's strength is really debated along the community because of the MMR gap. At high MMR, the more better you get at this game, easier it is to deal with Bubba. He hasn't got much going for him in terms of anti-loop. He's very easy to predict, and you can drop pallets on top of him, and you can time it correctly to also stun him even during a chainsaw. So he isn't strong at anti-loop. The only thing he can really do is punish survivors for grouping up and getting multiple downs instantly. Now, his skill ceiling I've given a 3 because it is tough to use his chainsaw around tight corners and really tight loops, and you have to mind game with your chainsaw as well to catch survivors off guard. That can include going backwards while revving your chainsaw, which can be very difficult to pull off. Now, his versatility is a 1. There isn't much to the Bubba's kits or add-ons. They all do the same sort of thing, increase the duration of his chainsaw. There isn't much flexibility in his playstyle. He's a very aggressive chase style killer who can also prioritize going back to hook and punishing survivors for going in for a save, and he's very good at being very territorial. Now, I've given the Bubba an overall score of 3 for fun because he is fun to use. It's very rewarding to insta-down people with your chainsaw, and using your chainsaw around loops can be very rewarding, but he doesn't get any higher points because there isn't much else to his power other than that, and it can be very frustrating when you do bump into a tile and you're having a tantrum for the next 5 years. Freddy Krueger, I've given him a strength of 3, a skill ceiling of 1, versatility 1, and overall fun 2. Now, Freddy's strength really does lie in his ability to teleport to generators and constantly apply pressure around the map. He also has the dream state, which makes survivors oblivious, but the downside is his lullaby still gives away his location. His anti-loop is questionable, but it is decent. With the snares, you can push survivors into them, therefore you can catch them at most tiles, and in fake pallets allow you to trick some survivors, but survivors do have the means to get out of the dream state to avoid both of your abilities. That's why he's considered quite weak, and he's now a 3. Now, his skill ceiling is only a 1. There is not much to Freddy's kit. You teleport to a generator, get in chase, place down a snare, force a survivor into a snare, hit them, down them, rinse, repeat, or with a fake pallet. Now, his versatility is a 1. The only thing that Freddy can do with his add-ons is change between which mode you want to be, with snares or fake pallets. His add-ons don't really do anything useful. They were absolutely gutted. Whereas beforehand, Freddy had a little bit more versatility, but nowadays his add-ons don't do much to change his playstyle. Overall fun is a 2. The only reason Freddy gets a 2 is because he's probably most likely always going to be in chase. Placing down snares and pushing survivors into it, for me, isn't a fun anti-loop style. It's very easy to understand and use, and I don't think he's that fun to play overall. And I think the dream state can be quite irritating to be in because it makes the screen all dark, and it's not a very pleasant experience. But again, that is just my personal preference. And you might enjoy Freddy if you're a very aggressive type player and you like forcing people into your traps, kind of like enjoying Hag and Trapper a little bit. The Pig. I've given the Pig a strength of 1, a skill ceiling of 2, a versatility of 4, and an overall fun of 2. Now, the Pig is insanely weak. The Pig relies on so much RNG. It's crazy. You could have a really good game or you can have a really bad game just based on how long the traps stay on those survivors' heads. And that is completely out of your control because it's just pure RNG. So she's very, very weak in that aspect. And then she's just a normal M1 killer. She can use the ambush attack, but again, it's very easy for survivors to avoid, and it's very weak in anti-loop. Now, skill ceiling is a 2. I've given her 1 more than, say, Freddy, because it does require a little bit of skill to use your ambush correctly and know which tiles you can successfully push a survivor to and then force an ambush hit. Requires way more skill than I'd say putting down a snare. Now, versatility, I've given her a 4. Her add-ons can do a lot of cool things in terms of making as far as blind, exhausted. You can bring an anti-heal build based on her add-ons. You can bring a full-blown ambush build, a quick crouch build to be more stealthy. You can start the survivors off with traps on their heads for a more aggressive playstyle. There's a lot of versatility to the pig and what sort of builds you can come up with based on her add-ons. Now, her overall fun, I've only given her a 2 because she's just mostly a generic M1 killer other than the ambush mechanic, which is a little bit fun to use, but can be very frustrating because the second there's a window, you probably won't pull off an ambush tech. It only really works on unsafe pallets. The Clown, I've given a strength of 2, a skill ceiling of 4, a versatility of 2, and an overall fun of 3. Now, the Clown, believe it or not, is actually quite a weak killer. What he lacks is his ability to just be across the map, and he's forced to eat a lot of pallets and can't deal with God or safe pallets either. Now, his strength relies all in his anti-loop, and if you can't anti-loop thanks to strong tiles, there's not much you can do. Now, his skill ceiling is a 4 because landing those bottle hits in certain tiles can still get you that hit, and you need to make sure that you're using both types of bottles. You need to increase your own speed and slow down the survivors, and landing those positions quickly with your bottles takes a lot of skill, and you can tell the difference between a really good clown player that can completely isolate you with his bottles correctly versus a clown that just randomly throws bottles and hopes for the best. It takes a lot of skill and precision to be a very good clown. Now, his versatility is a 2, and his add-ons just increase his bottles effect. That's all it really does. He's just about anti-loop. There's a little bit of versatility with what type of anti-loop you can provide with his add-ons. There isn't too much to him. His overall fun is a 3 because I think it's very satisfying to land those bottles on survivors. Always a throwing type killer is going to be fun, and it's very rewarding when you throw those bottles correctly and get that survivor downed quickly. It is very fun to learn Clown. The Spirit. The Spirit has a strength of 5, skill ceiling 3, versatility 4, and an overall fun of 3. Now, the Spirit is one of the strongest killers in the game. Her ability is so powerful. You can easily catch up to survivors very fast, and it's very difficult for them to track your location while using your power, and you can easily mind game them on lots of tiles and catch people off guard. She is very, very powerful. Now, her skill ceiling is a 3. It doesn't take too much to master the Spirit. Just make sure you've got a good pair of headphones, and you'll learn what the survivors do to try and trick you. They'll try and walk back on themselves. They'll try and pretend that they vaulted. There's lots of things survivors will do to try and trip you up, but a little bit of practice with Spirit and you'll get the hang of this. It isn't too difficult. Now, her versatility is a 4. Her add-ons can do some really cool and unique things, especially since the update. Her husk can explode and block windows, forcing survivors to stay close. She's got mangled effects. There's tons of things that the Spirit can do with her ability, so there's a plenty of different playstyle options for you. Her overall fun is a 3. For me personally, I don't really enjoy her power too much, though she has lots of options with her power, and it's very easy to catch survivors with it, and it's very satisfying to catch survivors, especially when you can't see them. So she gets an overall fun score of 3. The Legion, I have given a strength of 2, a skill ceiling of 1, versatility 5, and an overall fun of 4. Now, the Legion is a very weak killer and is only good at 1 versus 4. If the survivors decide to split up, you cannot use your power effectively, and you will not get that 5th hit in a million years. Survivors can easily counter your power, and you're only good in certain situations. If they're all grouped together, you're gonna have a very easy game. Legion's skill ceiling is a 1. Legion's power is very easy to learn and understand. The only thing you've got to watch out for is being stunned at pallets and survivors trying to jump into a locker as you swing to make you miss. If there's a locker in the survivor's path, just respect it and see if they jump in, then immediately grab them. Legion is very easy to use. Versatility is a 5 because Legion's add-ons do so many crazy different things. Because of the mixtapes, you can have a complete stealth Feral Frenzy build, you can have a mangled effect build to slow down healing, you can bring a build that allows you to kick things while in Feral Frenzy. There's so many different playstyles to Legion, and if you haven't already subscribed to me, make sure you do, because I upload tons of Legion content and there are tons of builds on my channel that you can try out. Now, overall fun is a 4. It is very satisfying to run around the map really fast and constantly be in chase with survivors, because that's what Legion power does. It's information and it's injury, so you're constantly in chase, and getting that 5th hit is the most satisfying thing in this game. The Plague, a strength of 4, skill ceiling 3, versatility 3, and overall fun 3. Now, the Plague is a very strong killer, using her vomit to constantly keep everybody injured, and the only way to cleanse yourself is to use a fountain. And if you do this, then she gains her secondary ability, which is the corrupted vomit, which is a ranged attack and is very powerful. It can absolutely destroy a team when she's in this mode, making her very strong. Her skill ceiling is a 3. It's very important that you focus your vomit on everybody. Do not overcommit to vomiting one person. Make sure you spread your vomit at the start of the trial, and it takes a little bit of skill to land her vomit quickly and correctly, and you got to make sure you don't get stunned during her corrupt, otherwise you lose her power. Now, her versatility is a 3. You can come up with different types of playstyles based on her add-ons. You can be really aggressive. You can also bring her jokey add-ons, the ones that make it so that if you touch a generator, you become fully infected straight away. But the downside is the Plague can't actually infect you from her vomit. So she's got defense type, she's got an aggressive type. There are so many playstyles you can come up with for the Plague. Her overall fun is a 3. She's a different type of killer because the survivors don't have to heal, so they avoid that mechanic, but they have to use the fountains instead. So balancing between your corrupt and making sure you use it at the right time and getting that vomit and downing survivors with it is very satisfying, and she's a very fun killer to use. Ghostface, I've given a strength score of 3, skill ceiling 3, versatility 2, and overall fun 3. Now, Ghostface is also a strong killer, the best stalk killer in the game over Myers easily, because his stalk allows him to control when he exposes people very easily. You can 99 a survivor and then you can down them. A good catch as well is once you've exposed somebody, they stay oblivious, allowing for some great anti-loop and some pressure on the survivor while you're chasing them while they're marked. And there is no limit to how much he can stalk somebody, which makes him pretty strong. His skill ceiling is a 3. There's a difference between a boosted Ghostface and a really good one. You need to be able to 99 your mark and really apply pressure that way so survivors can be quickly downed with your ability. You want to make sure that you do also mark survivors that are already injured, because you don't know later down the line they might be healthy again, and then you can take advantage of that insta down. It's all about being sneaky and knowing which survivor to attack at the right time, and that takes a little bit of game sense and skill on the Ghostface part to be a sneaky Ghostface. Now, versatility is a 2. His add-ons don't do too much other than his cooldown and some slowdown that he's been given, but there isn't too much versatility to your playstyle. His overall fun is a 3. It's very fun being sneaky, crouching around the map and downing those survivors in a sneaky fashion. Also, you can teabag, which is really fun. The Demogorgon, I have given a strength of 4, skill ceiling of 3, versatility 3, and overall fun 4. Now, the Demogorgon is a very strong and reliable killer. With his ability to place down portals and teleport across the map, the Demogorgon has really great map pressure on top of stealth as well with teleporting. What makes Demogorgon really strong is his anti-loop as well. His shred is really one to be feared. It can easily zone survivors, and you can destroy pallets insanely fast and really just destroy survivors out in the open. A very powerful killer indeed. The skill ceiling is a 3 because it does take some practice to really master his shred on those small tight corners, and you need to know exactly when to shred, otherwise you will be bonking into a wall way too much. It's also very important to know where to place your portals and when to teleport. The versatility for the Demogorgon is a 3. There are tons of different playstyles that you can go for with the Demogorgon thanks to his ability with the portals. You can play very cross map, you can play very close quarters. It is up to you. You have so much versatility with his add-ons and power. Now, overall fun is a 4. It is very, very fun to play the Demogorgon because of how strong he is in chase and the fact that you can just teleport around the map. His shred is very satisfying to land, and he's a very strong and very balanced killer in my opinion, and one of the most fun and unique killers in the game. The Oni with a strength of 4, skill ceiling 4, versatility 3, and overall fun a 5. Now, the Oni has one weakness, and that is he requires his power to get going. But once you get going, it is very easy to down survivors because of how scary his power is. He can charge around the map insanely fast and instant down survivors. He can work small tiles as well very easily because his mobility is so damn good at curving around tiles. He is very powerful indeed. His skill ceiling is also a 4 because of how tricky some moves can be to pull off. If you really want to catch survivors at tight corners, you need to know how to flick correctly, and to pull this off is quite difficult, and the Oni can be a little bit unforgiving if you do miss, because you are wasting valuable time, and then if you do lose your power without a down, you have wasted so much time and potentially lost the game. Now, versatility is a 3. There are tons of options on the way you can play Oni, and his add-ons do a lot of different things, giving you tons of versatility with his playstyle. His overall fun is a 5 because of how damn fun it is to run around the map at his speed and just smash survivors into the ground. He has the best mobility in the game. It's so fun, and how you can zoom around corners. It is just damn awesome. If you haven't played the Oni already, give him a try, and you'll also agree with me with how fun he is. The Deathslinger, I have given a strength of 3, a skill ceiling of 3, a versatility 1, and an overall fun of 4. Now, Deathslinger is very, very good at anti-loop. You really do not want to be out in the open against a Deathslinger. You will easily catch off survivors at windows. The only downside though is if there is a safe pallet, unfortunately you cannot down the survivor, but you can still injure them, which is a huge benefit. So there is really no way to get away from a Deathslinger if you're vulnerable. Now, the skill ceiling for Slinger, I've given a 3. It takes a little bit of skill just to master your aim, but it's basically like any first-person shooter with Slinger. If you have good aim, you'll do just fine with him. He's very easy to understand once you've mastered your aim. Versatility is a 1. There isn't too much to play around when it comes to Deathslinger's add-ons. Unfortunately, they did nerf the stealthy Deathslinger because his tear radius used to be smaller, but now that he has a normal tear radius, there's little to no versatility with him. You play him as a very aggressive shooter style killer, and that's what he's for. Overall fun is a 4. It is very satisfying landing those shots, and because of how small his hitbox is, you can really make some cool shots through certain gaps, and there's tons of fun that you can have with basically playing a shooting type killer, and it's really enjoyable to play him. Pyramid Head, I have given a strength of 4, a skill ceiling of 5, a versatility 1, and overall fun a 4. Now the Pyramid Head is one to be feared. There's little to nothing you can do in anti-loop against this killer. He is so damn powerful. He'll hit you through a pallet, he'll hit you as you're trying to go around a corner. There's not much you can do against a Pyramid Head. And what else gives him even more strength is his whole torment mechanic. You can easily get a survivor out of the game very quickly, and you can ignore hooks very easily. His skill ceiling is a 5 because of how difficult his power can be to master. There is a huge difference between a really good Pyramid Head and a really bad one. If you master this killer, survivors will barely be able to do anything against you in close quarters. You will quickly down them with your power, and a good Pyramid Head can predict where you're going to going and hit you through walls, which takes a lot of skill to pull off. Now, just like the Deathslinger, his versatility is a 1 because his add-ons really don't give him that many options in terms of his playstyle. You play him really aggressive with anti-loop, and you go for those quick downs with his power. That's what he's known for. Try and torment, quickly get someone out, and get back in chase. Overall fun is a 4. He is very satisfying to play and is very awesome to execute someone once you get them tormented on their last hook stage, and it's really fun to cage Nicolas Cage, of course. He is a really fun killer to play, and you must try out Pyramid Head. The Blight, I have given a strength of 5, a skill ceiling of 5, versatility 5, and overall fun 5. Now, Blight gets max scores on every single category. This killer is the second strongest killer in the game after the Nurse, and you could debate based on his add-ons. He is one to be feared. He is insanely fast, can do anti-loop, has map pressure. He basically has it all. The Blight is such an insane killer. The skill ceiling is a 5 because there are certain techniques that you do need to master and pick up, one being curving and knowing which tiles you will slip off rather than bounce. This can help you become a really awesome Blight player, and once you do master Blight skill ceiling to the max, you will be an unstoppable force, but it is something you do need to work towards. Versatility is a 5. Blight's add-ons are bloody insane, if not the best in the game. There is so many possibilities of what you can go for with the Blight. You could be a stealthy Blight, you can be a slow down healing Blight, you can be a straight up aggressive Blight. There is just everything. There is nothing you can't do with this killer. Overall fun is a 5 because it is very satisfying to zoom around the map and hit survivors, and because he's hard to use, there is some skill to work towards making him more fun and rewarding the better you get. Blight is such a good killer to pick up and one of the best in the game to play currently. The Twins, with a strength of 3, skill ceiling 3, versatility 2, and overall fun 2. Now, the Twins is actually very strong. The ability to down quickly with Victor can be very powerful, but you have to slug multiple survivors. And the more the meta changes and the more perks be changed, with perks now being like Buckle Up, We're Gonna Live Forever, there are options to deal with slugging as a group of survivors, and you'll probably find that trying to slug from a distance as Twins is quite risky, whereas beforehand it'd be quite rewarding to play this way. So over time it's like she's getting worse and worse, but she still is a very powerful killer, just not a lot of people play her. Now, the skill ceiling is a 3. It takes a lot to play Twins correctly. Survivors can easily counter Victor by running around tight corners, so you need to know how to lunge correctly, and it's very unforgiving if you do make a mistake because the window is so large for you to kick Victor, so you must land those good shots. And if you watch a Twins master like links, she will show you that those long lunges do take skill to pull off, and when you do, they can be very rewarding. Versatility is a 2. There isn't too much versatility with twins because Victor doesn't synergize with any perks because they don't work for him. If you bring any information perks like Discordance, for example, while you're currently using Victor, you won't get that information. But he does have different add-ons, but most of them just give him more speed or more lunge or make someone hemorrhage. There's nothing too much to Victor in terms of versatility or the twins overall. I've given twins an overall fun of 2, and that's just because I feel like using the twins can be very punishing sometimes because of the playstyle that you have to play, and you do have to play in a slugging playstyle, and you can be punished easily by it, and it's very frustrating since the Victor change. Beforehand, you couldn't really kick Victor because his cooldown was quite short. Now it's quite long. You're going to be getting kicked a lot, and it can feel quite frustrating to play twins. But she isn't the worst killer out there, but in my personal opinion, I don't think she's that fun to play. The Trickster, I have given a strength of 2, skill ceiling 4, versatility 2, and overall fun a 3. Now, the Trickster is probably one of the weakest ranged killers on this list. He is very easy to counter and he is very situational. If you're out in the open and there's a tile where he can physically throw his knives at you, you are absolutely done for. The Trickster will be able to down you easily. But with a lot of the map changes, including a lot more clutter and a lot more obstacles, the Trickster feels really weak nowadays because survivors can easily hide from his knives, and his anti-loop is very weak. It takes too long to down a survivor at certain tiles because you have to throw knives when they reach the window, and you can only get a couple shots in, and you got to keep repeating that process. And the time you do that, the gens have already been completed. The skill ceiling is a 4 because it does take a lot of skill to actually pull off the Trickster. You need to know when to throw your knives, and you need to understand which tiles you can win at. And there are some obstacles where you can throw your knives through tiny gaps and really down the survivors quickly. Versatility is a 2. Again, there isn't too much to the Trickster's kit. His knives just do different things, but the whole premise is to play a very aggressive playstyle, and he's just an anti-loop killer. There isn't too much versatility with the Trickster's add-ons or perks. Overall fun, I've given him a 3. It is very satisfying to throw those knives around the map, and if you do bring the Ricochet add-on, it's very nice to bounce the knives off certain tiles to try and get it down. He is very hard to play and very frustrating to play because of how weak he is, but if you do master him, you can have some fun with him. The Nemesis, I have given a strength of 4, a skill ceiling of 2, versatility 2, and overall fun a 3. Now, the Nemesis is seriously one to be feared. Once you get a higher tier with your infection, you're going to be an unstoppable force in anti-loop. There's little to nothing an infected survivor can do against you in chase. You can break a pallet immediately, you can whip around corners, you can whip over tiles. There's really not much a survivor can do to get away from you other than try and keep themselves not infected. He is very powerful to go against, and don't forget he has 2 zombies helping him apply map pressure as well. Skill ceiling is a 2. There isn't too much to Nemesis's power to understand. Once you master that whip accuracy, you'll do just fine. Versatility is a 2. There isn't too much to Nemesis's kit that allows him a lot of versatility with his playstyle. You must play seriously aggressive, and you must go for a high infection rate right at the start of the trial. Overall fun is a 3. Nemesis is very rewarding to play once you master his whip, and it's very satisfying to down multiple people, and it's very fun once your zombies do eventually get it down. Other than that, there isn't too much to Nemesis. He's just a really strong anti-loop killer with his 2 best friend zombies, Derek and Bobs. The Cenobite, I've given a strength of 4, skill ceiling 4, versatility 4, and overall fun 4. He hits all 4s across the board. The Cenobite is so powerful, but he comes with a catch, and that is you must keep the hunt active. If you can keep the hunt active, you are literally unstoppable. The game comes to a halt. The survivors can't do anything other than trying to track down the box. And if you do understand box spawning mechanics, which I do have a video on, then you will learn how to constantly get the box and therefore the hunt constantly active, and you will win all of your games if you master this technique. That's when it comes to skill ceiling. It takes a lot of skill to know where the box is going to spawn. You have to pay attention to where all the survivors are, and you need to know box spawn locations. Also, it takes a lot of skill to master his chain hits on certain tiles. You must use your anti-loop correctly, and it can be very unforgiving if you do miss due to his cooldown. His versatility is a 4. His add-ons do tons of different things, including the ability to completely shut down the hunt's mechanic and become a stealthy killer instead every time you grab the box. There are different playstyles that you can play with him. You can play very anti-loop aggressive. You can slow down the game entirely with the box. You can bring so many different add-ons and variations. I've given the Cenobite an overall fun score of 4 because of how much he can do. He's got anti-loop. He can teleport across the map. He's got the hunt mechanic. You got to look for the box. He's a completely different and unique killer, and he has a lot of good aspects about him. And once you do master these things, you will have such enjoyable games with the Cenobite because you feel like an unstoppable chained force. The artist I've given a strength of 4, a skill ceiling 4, versatility 3, and overall fun a 4. Now, the artist is so powerful, one of the best A tier killers out there, and that's because of her ability to snipe across the map. She can constantly have pressure on every survivor in the game if she knows which gens to throw her crows at. Once you get really good with the artist as well, you can down survivors very quickly. There's little to nothing you can do in terms of anti-loop against her other than leave the tile, because she can completely block off tiles with her crows and injure you very quickly. Now, skill ceiling is a 4. It takes a lot of practice to master those long distance shots, and it takes a lot of skill to master the artist. If you do want to snipe somebody, you have to use it with one crow. You can't summon all 3 because the cooldown doesn't allow you enough time. So you have to go to use one crow, hit from a distance, another crow, then hit again, and that takes a lot of skill to master. And if you do become a good artist, you will be so damn hard to beat in a chase and overall in a game. Versatility is a 3. There are tons of different playstyles you can use with the artist because of her ability to attack across the map, but our overall premise is the same. She's a very strong anti-loop killer, but some of her add-ons do some cool and unique things. One of my favorites is the Oblivious effect with the crows, allowing you to play more of a sneaky style artist against a more aggressive one, so you do have tons of options. Her overall fun is a 4. Now, the artist is very satisfying and fun to play once you master her. Getting those long distance shots can feel very satisfying, and you're constantly going to be in chase because you can hit crows across the map and you know which gens to go to. The Onryo I've given a strength of 4, skill ceiling 2, versatility 3, and overall fun a 4. Now, with the recent buffs, Onryo now shines against a solo queue team. To counter her, it's very simple. You must make sure you're holding on to those TV tapes so that you don't get the condemned from the Onryo constantly teleporting around. But a good Onryo will know where to go and will apply condemned pressure to you. She's a very good killer against the solo queue average team, and that's what this tier list is about. So I've given her a strength of 4. She can really punish those survivors now with her new condemned mechanic. Skill ceiling is a 2. There isn't too much to the Onryo. Onryo, teleport around, get in chase. She's a basic M1 killer with a little bit of stealth. So if you understand the stealth rules and how you should be stealthy and understand where you should and shouldn't chase because you are a stealth killer, so hit and run is more in your forte, then you know how to play her. It isn't too much else to her kit. Versatility is a free. There are some different playstyles that you can go with Onryo thanks to her having stealth in her base kit. You can play extremely aggressive with some anti-loop tools to help you win those chases quicker. You can go for an anti-heal build. You can go for a hit and run build. You can go for a slugging condemned build. There are loads of options for you. Now, overall fun is a 4. It is very satisfying being able to teleport around the map and jump scare survivors. And if you do manage to get that condemned, it is very satisfying to chase down that condemned survivor and eventually give them the ultimate stare down to their demise. The Dredge, I've given a strength of 4, skill ceiling 3, versatility 4, and overall fun a 4. Now, the Dredge has so much map pressure, it's insane. Being able to teleport between lockers means you're constantly going to be in chase. What makes him really powerful, though, is his Nightfall mechanic. During Nightfall, the survivors are basically blind, and you will catch them off guard tons. He also has great anti-loop as well, being to place down his little blob, and then you can teleport to it once you push a survivor to it, giving you some nice anti-loop as well. So the Dredge basically has everything in his kit. The skill ceiling is a free because you need to understand which lockers to go to, and you constantly need to be teleporting around the map and being very aggressive. You can play him in a hit and run style, which benefits him the most. You need to also understand how to anti-loop correctly, which can require a little bit of skill. Versatility is a 4. The Dredge can basically do everything, and his add-ons give him tons of different playstyles and options for you. So if you want to go for a more hit and run playstyle, go for it. If you want to be more aggressive with anti-loop, again, you can. The Dredge can do everything, so he has tons of versatility. Overall fun is a 4. It is very fun to teleport around the map and jump scare survivors through lockers. And if you do get a locker grab, I promise you that is going to be the most satisfying thing ever to do in this game. After a Legion's 5th hit, of course.
I'll kill you quickly.
The Mastermind with a strength of 4, skill ceiling 4, versatility 5, and overall fun, I'm a 5. Now, the Mastermind is a very powerful killer with his ability to infect survivors, vault windows, and just throw them around the map. The Mastermind has it all. He is a very powerful anti-loop killer, and because of his speed, he can easily get across the map very quickly, and his infection mechanic can slow down survivors massively, forcing them off the objective, because if they don't cleanse, they will be hindered, and then the Mastermind can instantly down them, which is absolutely massive. Now, the skill ceiling is a 4. It is very tricky to pick up the Mastermind, and he is very unforgiving if you do miss a rush, because the last thing you want to do is vault a window by mistake and the survivor's teabagging you at the other end because you timed your rush badly. You can also curve with the Mastermind as well, which takes some skill to master and can give you some very satisfying hits as well. Versatility is a 5. There is nothing the Mastermind can't do because of his ability to be able to vault windows and just overall strong anti-loop. His add-ons give him different play styles as well. You can make the first rush longer, or you can make the second rush longer, giving him plenty of options on how you play him. You can play him stealth, you can play him aggressive, you can play him slow down. There's tons of options with this killer. His overall fun is a 5 because of how satisfying it is to grab and yeet those survivors and smash them into the wall. You're going to constantly be in chase, charging up your dash, and it's very fun to play this killer. You can ask literally 99% of the player base because most of you play Wesker, and you all have to agree he is very fun to play. The Knight, I've given a strength of 3, a skill ceiling of 3, versatility 4, and overall fun 3. Now, the Knight is a AI controlling killer that can summon knights with different abilities on rotation. What makes the Knight strong is his ability to zone out areas and force survivors to lead to the next tile, eventually cornering them and boxing them off. His only weakness, though, is that his knights are on rotation, so sometimes you get caught off guard with your knights and you accidentally got the wrong one when you want a different one. Now, his skill ceiling is a 3. You do need to know where to place your knights, and a good knight knows how to use their ability long distance rather than just up close, so that you can apply map pressure as well, not just anti-loop. You can really tell the difference between a good and bad knight just on how they play. Now, versatility is a 4. There are tons of options on how you can play the knight because of his add-ons. You can bring multiple jailers, you can bring multiple assassins, and this allows you to open up different playstyles. If you bring multiple jailers, you might be more of a defensive type killer, but if you bring multiple assassins, you can play more aggressive. Now, overall fun is a 3 because it is very satisfying to play the Knight because you can summon the guards on different locations, and once a guard is chasing somebody, you also get to join in on the chase, and if you do get that double down with a Knight and yourself combo, it is very satisfying to pull off. The Skull Merchant, I've given her a strength of 3, a skill ceiling of 1, versatility 3, and overall fun 1. Now, the Skull Merchant is a very annoying killer to verse, but she is very powerful to play. Because of her drones and how often you can place them by generators, you can easily defend a zone with one click of a button. And because survivors will become exposed if they stay in that AoE, you can then insta-down them, and they can't do anything to get away because you know where they are. If they interact with the drone to get rid of it, you know that they've gone there and you can go back and defend the gen. She's a very annoying gen defense killer. Her skill ceiling is a 1. There is no real brain when it comes to using this killer. She is so simple to understand. You right click a button, summon a drone, survivor goes in drone, you deal with that survivor. That is literally her power. Versatility, a 3. There are tons of different playstyles on how you can play her. Unfortunately, most Skull Merchant players only know of free genning, but you can play her in different playstyles. You can go for a stealth build, you can go for anti-heal build, and more anti-loop build with her. There are actually options. So please, if you are a free gen Scully, just stop. Let's just go for some versatility and try and increase her overall fun score, which I have given her a 1. She is not fun to play at all. I literally tried on release to try and find some fun with her, to try and be positive, but now she's been out for a while. I cannot say there's anything satisfying to pressing right click and just holding a gen hostage. There is no skill in doing it, and it's just very boring to play. I would highly give this killer an avoid if I were you. There are so many better killers on this list that actually require skill to get good with, and it's more satisfying to win with them. That's why I've given her an overall fun score of 1.
It wasn't programmed to harm the crew.
Or worse.
The Singularity, I've given a strength of 3, a skill ceiling of 4, versatility 4, and overall fun 4. Now, the Singularity is the last killer on this list, and he is a very strong killer as well. I keep saying that a lot, but his ability to infect survivor with his pods allows him some really powerful anti-loop, and with his overclock mode, you can just delete pallets and force survivors to drop early. He's a very aggressive type killer, but he also has the ability to apply map pressure and force survivors to have to go to EMPs. The reason why he's not any stronger though is because EMPs are still quite powerful and survivors can easily counter your turrets. Now, skill ceiling is a 4. It takes a lot of skill to master the Singularity. You need to be on top of all of your cameras and you need good positioning, and you also need to be good at anti-loop. You need quick downs, you need to apply pressure on multiple gens with your pods, you then need to reset them with EMPs, you need to chase survivors with EMPs. There's just so much you have to pay attention to a Singularity, and he requires a lot of skill to master. Versatility is a 4 because of his ability. You can tie in with different add-ons and different combinations. You can play him in any sort of play style you want. You can focus more on his overclock mechanic and be more aggressive. You can focus more on his turrets and be more stealthy and more defensive. His playstyle is entirely up to you, and he has options. Overall fun is a 4. It's very, very fun to teleport around the map and infect survivors, and going into your cannon mode and shooting people can be very rewarding, and getting in that overclock chase mode, feeling like an unstoppable force, is very satisfying. The Xenomorph, I have given a strength of 4, skill ceiling 4, versatility 5, and overall fun a 5. Now, our newest addition to the game, the Alien or Xenomorph, is a really fun killer to play and very strong. Now, let's talk about the Xenomorph's strength. Now, the Xenomorph has insane map pressure and can easily tunnel around the map to constantly have his presence around. With his tear radius being extremely small in runner mode as well, survivors don't know when the Xenomorph is coming, and stealth also plays a huge part of map pressure. He is absolutely insane at getting at one point to another, and he can easily defend multiple gens across the map. He also has really strong anti-loop in runner mode with his tail, allowing him to hit over tiles and down survivors very quickly. His only weakness is the fact that survivors can construct flame turrets to get you out of your ability, and then you have to reset. But it isn't too much of a hindrance because going back into a tunnel gets you back into runner mode in no time whatsoever. Now, skill ceiling is a 4. You need to be very good at understanding where to go on the map and be able to locate survivors very quickly through tunnels. It can be very disorientating when you're in a tunnel and you see footprints. You need to exactly know where to go and to get back into chase, which takes a little bit of skill to pull off. Also, his tail can be quite hard to use because there is a technique that allows you to hit over tiles. If you didn't know, if you aim your tail high and then aim down, you can actually hit over tiles because his tail kind of works like a U bend shape and allows you to hit over certain tiles, which is going to take some skill to pull off. Versatility is a 5. This killer can literally do everything, and he has a lot of different add-on capabilities. You can bring a pallet endurance build that can really punish survivors with his iridescent add-on. You can bring a aura reading stealth build. You can literally do anything with this killer. He has so much versatility because of how his ability works. Now, overall fun is a 5. This is a very satisfying and fun killer to play, and tunneling around the map and being a real sneaky alien just like in the movies is very satisfying, and seeing those footprints in the tunnels and tracking people down is really awesome. You're always going to be in chase with Xenomorph if you play the Xenomorph correctly, which of course makes the killer very fun to play, and it's very satisfying to smack survivors with a tail over those tiles. Thank you for making it to the very end of the video. I hope I've managed to help guide you towards your future killer main. My biggest advice for you so that you don't get burnt out is to make sure you try to play different killers or play survivor every now and then to break up the pattern. Don't overcommit to one killer non-stop, because I promise you it will get very repetitive very quickly. But do practice your main killer and focus on leveling them up to try and achieve all of the perks in the game so you can play different types of play styles. Try not to stick to the same build over and over again. Try different play styles to mix things up. Now, this list is insanely opinionated, and what I would really appreciate in the comments is not people saying, PotatoLegion, but Pig is overall fun, 10 out of 10 because I main Pig. Yep, they might be fun for you, but this list was made on my personal experience, and I've got over 5,000 hours in the game, and I promise you I have spent a lot of time with every single killer. I know all of their strengths and weaknesses, and I know how much fun you can potentially have. My opinion may be very different to yours, and I feel like it's kind of pointless to post comments like that. Whereas you could post something constructive, for example, hey, PotatoLegion, I play Pig. This is how I have fun with Pig, with some examples on how we can enjoy Pig more. I feel like that would be better for people that are new to the game who can read through your constructive comments as well. Anyway, I hope you all did enjoy this video, and I hope you have now found your favorite killer player. And if you have, please let me know in the comments below your favorite killer and your favorite build if you made it to this part of the video. Hope you enjoy, gamers. Take care of yourselves. Peace out.